Guru Nation, I'm about to bring on the one and only Darshan Kulkarni. But before I do that, he needs his proper intro. So DJ, play the music. I'm gonna bring on Darshan right now. This is his intro music. Imagine he is the relief pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. You're up by one, and you got the hardest part of the lineup coming up. Who do you bring in to throw heat? The guy that's gonna scare the crap out of you. Not bad. Baba Yaga. Guys, if that doesn't instill fear in the hearts of the viewers, nothing will. Darshan, there's no other song appropriate for you than this. This is the best song for you. This is your when you go to any conference, I don't care if it's SOS, you must demand this song played.
I mean, ignore the copyright violations, but
yeah, who cares? It's live.
Yeah, sure, of course, because that's the only factor.
Because that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the most multicultural song I know, because I'm going, on one hand, it definitely has this mariachi band sound to it until the actual vocals kick in, which case is the
the vocals kick in. It's kind of here it is. Let's just go like
it's almost hip hoppy, if you will. I don't know what the song is, to be clear, but
yeah, Timmy Trumpet, Narco.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't too far off with the mariachi kind of angle.
No. Imagine the FDA coming to your site and the fear that the auditor will get when Darshan comes in to be on your side. And he comes in for this music. You can't find anything wrong with the site anymore once Darshan's there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because, that's what the FDA should be listening to. The music. The music puts fear in the heart of everyone else.
This is what Fraud Pod does. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a contract because the first one was so unique. Like, no one's ever broken down a contract section by section, line by line. Last time we did section 1, which was riveting. This time we're doing section 2, which would make the most sense, quite honestly. And section 2 is about sponsor. It's called sponsor support. I can't put who the sponsor is, but it's called sponsor support. And let's just get into it, right? Everyone go follow Darshan. He's an expert at contracts. He's an expert at preparing your site for audits, for quality control. He's an expert at preparing your sponsor for regulatory pathway. I had a medical device. The interview we did with Dr. King's going to go live tomorrow, I think, or Thursday. We've just been creating way too much content, man.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, imagine trying to keep up. I can't. Darshan, I forget to upload videos. We make so many. I get it. I have videos that I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to upload this. Like, where can I fit it in? Okay, section 2, sponsor support.
Okay.
Sponsor shall provide investigator and or institution, and feel free to interrupt anytime you need to, Darshan. When Baba Yaga talks, we got to listen.
I already have something, but I'm going to let you finish.
Already with 3 words.
Yeah. So my first question is, when you say sponsor shall provide investigator or institution, is the investigator part of the contract? In which case, why are they part of the contract?
Yes, they are. You asked this last time. It was very good. Very
same question. Yeah.
Yes. Agreed and accepted.
See? No. I might say
reviewed. Not listening. Sorry.
I might say reviewed. I'm not saying agreed and accepted, because did the PI have a chance to actually review, agree, and accept? Because they're accepting. Now, the other question, in what capacity? Are they doing it as PI?
Principal investigator.
At what? At the site?
At the site.
But do they work for the site? Are they employed by the site?
They're part owner.
Okay. So in some cases, that might be okay. So you've got to limit the liability. Now, you might, every so often, I'd say actually more often than not, the PI, especially for small sites, lands up being a consultant or a contractor, in which case they're taking the liability on their business for a contract that they never reviewed. And that's hugely problematic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is, see, you already got your money's worth, guys, for watching this. Okay. Sponsor shall provide investigator and/or institution would study drugs and/or devices as applicable to the study at sponsor's expense. In addition, sponsor
do that for me again. Do that for me again.
Sponsor shall provide investigator and institution would study drugs and/or device as applicable to the study.
Wait, is this a combination study, or why are they using that, or just take out the other word?
No, it's a medication study, but
devices
are like equipment and things like that.
Okay, keep going. Are you expecting equipment?
Well, this study is over. But
I get that, but when you said we are not doing legal advice anyways, but in this, was there actual equipment given?
Yeah, they always give you like an ECG machine or something like ePro.
Okay, so that's what
I think you gotta run a site there, Sean. If Darshan ran a site, it'd be game over for the industry. Forget it. Like you would see so much from this side. You would be like you would become like so aware. You'd be the most aware person in the entire space.
Well, you realize I've actually been the only unblinded party in like large academic institutions as a pharmacist.
No, that's cool, but doesn't not the same.
Not actually running a site.
You need like, where do you live? Like, not to dox you, but where do you live? Like, you need a site in Philly, like a community clinic. Like, no bullshit. Let's just get people in studies and treat the community well.
Dan, you and I have been talking. There are other ideas we might want to pursue. So we can't.
They're ruminating. They're ruminating.
Yes. There you go.
Let's back to ruminate this contract because, okay, financial support as follows. Okay. In addition, sponsors shall provide financial support for the study as follows. Payee. Payment in connection with the study shall be made to institution as institution is named in W-9 form and to the address listed in the supplier information form. The following information shall be provided.
I'd put a pause there. And the reason because think about it, I might put the word only in there. And the reason is I want to say that the payment is to the institution, not to the PI, because I don't want my PI's name showing up under the Sunshine Act as a payment.
Right. And it is to the site.
Yeah.
The payments are to the site.
But have you ever gone back to the actual Sunshine Act and seen if that payment was attributed?
The Sunshine Act doesn't matter who the payee is; it associates with the PI.
And that's why I would go, no. This is not a payment to my PI. We specifically.
But they would still put it on there, though.
No, it wouldn't. You're allowed to dispute it. You absolutely are allowed to dispute it.
Sure, it's just like your credit score, right? Who wants to actually go through all that? And
I know people who do. I do it all the time. It's the idea is that you can't just say that you gave me a payment because my patients look at it. Mm-hmm. I don't want them thinking that I'm biased.
It's unfair to the PIs. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, the following shall be provided to institution regarding each payment designated for patient services. Protocol alias, investigator name, patient number, patient visit number, and visit payment amount. For each and this is a really good sponsor, by the way. You don't get this in most trials.
Yeah, that's unusual. I also don't know what they mean. Do that sentence for me again.
Patient protocol alias. So it's like the protocol number. So
start at the beginning of the sentence. They'll give you the protocol alias, but what is the actual beginning of that?
The following information shall be provided to institution regarding each payment that's designated for patient services.
So essentially what they're saying is, here's what we'll tell you we're paying you for each time.
Yeah, transparency.
Okay, that's great. Okay.
Protocol alias, investigator name, patient number, patient visit number, visit payment amount. For each payment made in reimbursement of invoiceable expenses, which I actually have to do later today for this study, sponsor shall provide a remittance advice containing either a description of the reimbursement and our institution's invoice number, inquiries, which I received yesterday.
Hold on. Stop for a second.
Yeah.
Is this being done directly by the sponsor in this study, or was it being done by the CRO?
Directly by the sponsor.
Okay, see, that's unusual, and that's good.
Yep. The best sponsor, by the way, to work with by far.
Yeah. A lot of CROs mess up this space because they have legacy systems, and they have a hard time tracking. And yeah, I'm not telling you something you don't know, Dan. Like, you struggle with this yourself.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that all the information goes out in the right way? So, and how do you make sure the payment is being attributed correctly? Because I've had sites complain that I got a bunch of money, I don't know what the hell to attribute it to.
Happens all the time, man. Just my default is reconcile as other in our CTMS and just assume it's all patient payments.
See, the other way to address that, the simpler way to address is I'm going to attribute it to the last payment, to the oldest invoice. So
yeah, but we don't invoice for every visit. Like, most visits we don't invoice for. We just invoice for invoiceables.
No, I get that, but in the end,
yes,
you will. So that way, if they come back with no, I paid for that. No problem. Under the contract, we've already agreed that if you pay me, it's for the oldest invoice first. You guys need to reconcile on your side because I don't know otherwise.
You want to know a little known secret for all the complainers out there? There's a bunch of complainers out there on the space. I'm a site owner that's not complaining. I'm a grateful site owner. Listen, at the end of majority of my studies, when I do final reconciliation, we've usually been overpaid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So take that, complainers. It's not that big of a deal. You just got to know how to negotiate well. You got to have someone like Darshan, someone like Chris.
Yeah. But it just takes forever to do. The effort that takes is such a pain in the butt.
I don't waste time with it. That's the thing. Reconcile is other at the end, and then I track all my invoices. At the end, I see, are we short?
Yeah.
Usually, no. Usually, I'm surprised to find that we're been overpaid. I'm like, okay, cool. Once in a while, they'll send back a letter, like months later. Hey, we've accidentally overpaid you. Can we get it back?
No.
How about we take it out of the next study? How about that?
Have you really said that?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah. Give us another study and take it out of there. It works well. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Investigator and institution represent and certify that payments under the terms of this agreement shall not violate any policy or agreement they may have with a third party with which they are affiliated. They just have to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Basically, if the PI is an employee of a hospital and their contract says you can't do stuff outside, is what I'm guessing.
No, I get what they're trying to cover. I'm just trying to think, what are the ways this can go wrong? And I'm going
a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, so you have to balance all the stuff that can go wrong against, is this the battle you want to fight?
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, you know what? All they're trying to do is cover themselves, saying that you're not going to go out there and violate a bunch of rules. Yeah, and they can take that onus on. That has to be you. So moving on.
Or if you do go on and violate your own contract, that's your problem, not theirs.
Correct. Exactly right.
Yeah. Payment schedule, the most exciting part. You guys sit down and have a sip of coffee. This gets good here. Procedure costs. In connection with the study, institution shall be paid in accordance with the terms set forth in the budget. See Exhibit A. Institution shall, and Exhibit A is very good, by the way. Institution shall be responsible for payment to the investigator, and sponsor shall have no direct liability to investigator for such payments.
Hold on, repeat that sentence for me again.
Institution shall be responsible for payment to the investigator, and sponsor shall have no direct liability to investigator for such payments.
That's a well-written contract, first of all. That's unusual.
These guys are lawyered up, man. These guys are caked.
Dude, I've written a bunch of different agreements, and I've read several agreements myself, and that's not typical, and that's a good line to have.
Would you give this attorney or team of attorneys props? Like, would you just give them all daps? Like, good job, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the problem with it, though. So this is the difference between U.S. contracting and global contracting. We in the U.S. tend to overdraft everything. Every scenario you can think of, we probably have in there because we've been burnt so often. EU, you'll see the contracts, they tend to be short. they tend to be like, look, this is what you're going to do, and I'm going to pay you this much money. Moving on. It's like 3 pages sometimes. It's just like, again, not always, but it's a very different thought process. And they think we're an overkill, and we think that they're sort of completely like missing the point. But there is a medium ground because contracts should not be as long as they often are, but it shouldn't be a 2-page contract either.
This one's only 15.
It's about 16. Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you've read enough of them, you can tell how long these things are going to be.
You're a machine, man. Okay. For those amounts designated for patient services, institutions shall receive payment only for data received based on the actual number of visits and procedures performed in accordance with agreed upon procedure fees outlined in the budget.
Here's my first question. When you have that, do you ever go back and do a reconciliation with standard of care and with what's the word I'm looking for? No. So how do you know what to bill anyone outside the sponsor?
Just what it costs. I mean, we don't bill anyone else. We pay other vendors.
So I don't know about this contract, but a lot of contracts have standard language in there that says that you will first bill a payer at least and be rejected twice before you can bill the sponsor.
Usually for like oncology.
Not just oncology, I've seen it across the board.
It's actually happened. This is why I got a query. Today I have to do this after we're done.
Yeah.
I have to fix an invoice because they want me to fill out some CMS form and to show what it's, how much, why it's not covered by Medicare.
And these are all problematic things. And I'd be very, very careful about how you touch those forms.
Well, I'm going to touch it, click on it and fill it out. What do you mean?
No, my point being, when you fill these forms out, you're now talking to the federal government. You're signing off on things to the federal government. You're basically swearing in many cases to certain things. So you have to be careful about what you say, because privity of contract between you and the sponsor, one thing, no big deal. I mean, big deal, but not crazy. The moment you start dealing with the government, that's where the False Claims Act kicks in. That's where
we have a real invoice from a vendor. Here's what your ultrasound cost. $2,300. Can you believe it? $2,300.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying that that's incorrect or anything. But now you've suddenly got kickback issues to worry about, because if you're potentially billing to CMS, that's where your government.
So they're worried if you're going to bill to CMS. Yeah, we didn't.
I don't know why they're asking you to do it. Sounds like you might be. I think what the sponsor is doing, again, I don't know what you have in this situation, right? But theoretically, it's possible that they're saying we shouldn't pay $2,300. This is standard of care. The government should pay for standard of care, which the government is supposed to. But then you've got to prove that this was standard of care, and you're now claiming that it's standard of care. So that liability falls on you.
Well, what actually happened was the patient had an AE. We had to follow the protocol, do ultrasound.
Yep.
We paid for it out of pocket.
Yep.
Cash. And then we're using the vendor's invoice to get reimbursed from the sponsor for.
Yeah, but the sponsor's asking for reimbursement from CMS. Otherwise, why is CMS in there?
They want us to fill out some form. I don't know.
Yeah, so I want to find out more about that.
All they said was we need the invoice and you to fill out this form, and that's it. So they're gonna pay it.
Maybe. You have to figure that piece out. But and maybe they will.
Pay it. Yeah. No.
Let me rephrase that. Someone's gonna pay you. Question is who and how much.
Right.
And the who is the important part in this. The how much is even less important, but yeah.
We'll leave the cliffhanger for next time. I'll let you guys know what we got paid. Such compensation shall be made at monthly intervals, and I give so much props to these guys. I want them at the next SOS. Please, I'm going to find out how to get them there. Monthly, and they pay beyond monthly, Darshan. This sponsor is amazing. And is limited to payment for the number of patients in the budget who are enrolled in the study during the enrollment period, unless sponsor gives the investigator written approval to enroll additional patients or extend the enrollment period. In the event that such approval is granted, institution shall be paid in accordance with the fees set forth in the budget for the additional patients. Sponsor shall pay institution for screen failures that occur in accordance with the protocol in the amount designated in the budget. The number of screen fails is listed on the budget is an estimate. Sponsor shall pay for all screen failures, provided that such screen fails are performed in accordance with protocol. Amazing.
That's incredible. That's unusual.
I love them.
Usually you see a ratio for screen fails.
Yeah, I know. Most studies. I have dealing with one right now. German. Hermann. Good to hear both of you. Greetings. What is the payment method that you use to pay the PI? Handwritten check. Old school.
You could do handwritten check. You could do. I would recommend you have some kind of official payment method because you need to be able to deduct that off your taxes later on.
Yep. Handwritten check. CPA sees it all. Old school with my Benjamin Franklin pen. Invoiceable expenses. Upon receipt of the fully executed agreement, sponsor shall provide institution and our investigator with the purchase order number. This was a pain in the ass to do, to set it up. I was getting so frustrated. I probably generated like 4 memes during that period. But then sponsor made it up. How to invoice through this invoicing system. It's such a pain in the ass.
Tell me about how they did the PO in this specific instance.
They use something
sometimes
called
a work order, sometimes a PO, but yeah, go ahead.
The PO, the PO was separate. You have to like fill out all your info, like what your EIN, how do you identify as a company? I mean, all kinds of stuff.
The reason I'm asking this question is one of the key things, and a lot of contracts don't include this. If there's a conflict between the PO and your contract, because your PO often has terms in it, what prevails?
That's a good question, man.
And that happens it's very routine. So yeah.
That's a good question. I think the PO had a max of what we can get paid.
Oh, that's a problem, right? Because you just said you have unlimited screen fails.
True. That is a problem. We didn't get close to what the max was that they put, but yeah. Increases to invoiceable expenses shall only be paid upon advance written approval. This is what I actually have to do today. Request for payment for services.
Hold on. What is the way you can get advance written approval? Can it be email or not?
Written approval from sponsor.
Yeah, I would clarify that because there are arguments out there that who can actually give written approval. Like you can contact the neighborhood security guy and go, hey, can you just give me sponsor approval just because you work at the sponsor? Has to be a authorized signatory. Well, who constitutes an authorized signatory? And how can they actually give you that approval? Does an email from that person count, or does it have to be a letter? I would expect that an email counts, but I think you want to get that written down.
True, man, because in another study where I have a slightly less positive experience than this one, we've maxed out our screen fails, and I emailed a bunch of people up the food chain at this sponsor. I said, listen, this is not fair. We have, look at all these screen fails. They asked me for rationale. I gave them all this. Finally, a project manager stepped in and said, yeah, we will pay all these. So now, like, that's written approval, right? But now I'm like following up with it, like, well, okay, can I just send the invoice? What I do? It's been crickets for like 2 weeks.
Right.
So I got to follow up.
Yeah.
But at least I have it written. It's documented.
Yeah.
It'll eventually get paid, man. It all will. About being persistent.
See, I think that's the problem, though. For me, time is money.
Yeah, I know, man. It's so annoying. Because I've got to follow up. I've got my email folder that's set aside, and I'd like to clear things out of there.
I have a question for you, and I've never seen this done by sites. Do you guys use CRM for sales?
I used to use HubSpot to track like study leads. Yeah. Not anymore, though.
My question is, has anyone ever used a CRM to track invoices and payments?
I'm sure there's people out there. There's like really sophisticated site owners out there, like type A's.
I'd be curious. I'd love to see if anyone's doing that, because it's exactly this issue, right? We haven't gotten paid for this. Can you tell us when to expect payment? We got paid for this portion, but not that portion.
Well, Creo, which we use. Shout out to them. For those, for example, I have to create invoices, right? Yeah. And then those, when I get paid for it, I reconcile the invoices paid. So it shows me days outstanding.
Sure.
It's
like I can do that with Zoho invoice for free as well. That's, just to be clear, I don't have any ownership in Zoho. I'd love to, but yeah. But the point is, most invoice software will tell you what's outstanding. But I'm talking about the follow-ups. I'm talking about the, hey, it's been so many days. I'm sending you an email.
Automated follow-ups.
A lot of automated stuff.
No.
And Zoho will even do the automated. I actually have to turn it off because I don't like bothering my clients if I can help it. Because sometimes
if my site was big enough, but then people like Brad who do have like big enough, like I have 10 studies a year, maybe 15. Brad gets like 80. All right. He has a dedicated person just follow up on this stuff.
I didn't
like
know Brad was doing 80. Good for him.
I actually somewhere around that, like 60 to 80.
I know, but my point, we weren't holding him to a number. Brad's not even on. I was working
orders of magnitude more than I do.
Yeah. It's and again, at a certain point, you start developing systems, and I was just curious at the smaller site level how that works, because I worked with some of the largest sites in the country, if not the world. They were doing like 1,800 studies.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, if you just double my studies, I'm hiring a full-time person for this. Like, that's it, just doubling. Because right now I'm doing it all and doing everything else at the site. So my set aside inbox just getting full.
So what, you're just using like Google to do this then?
Creo and my inbox. I have Spark AI, which is like a AI type of email.
So let me ask you a really simple question. So you've got Spark AI that will track things for you and remind you and all that good stuff?
It will, like, I could set things aside. It could auto reply for me. Not auto, but like
how does that play with your confidentiality provisions in your CTA?
I don't know. I don't talk anything confidential.
No, but you don't send emails with like terms of the contract and stuff? Because your AI by definition has to read it.
I don't think it reads the attachments though. It reads the body.
I believe it reads everything, but my point being, these are the types of things your lawyer's thinking about. Because at a practical level, how does that actually work?
Spark AI, you need to get a hold of Darshan. There's like there's holes in this.
Well, they don't want you to know. I did a whole presentation on why AI is hugely problematic.
Well, Google has AI in their emails now too, without telling you.
But here's the problem. Google. Let me see if I can pull up my presentation.
Yeah, pull it up.
Give me a sec.
We'll continue the contract talk later because you have a hard stop.
I do have a hard stop in a few.
You are gonna go out with the music though.
Give me a sec. I'm trying to pull this up. It was in presentation, so
let me just
see this in 3D.
I have it ready.
You're ridiculous.
I have it ready.
Okay, just a sec.
Love that song, Darshan.
I know you do. I'm actually doing a presentation in like next week on AI and clinical trials and what the future looks like and all that good stuff.
Can you just request you come out to that song? I will watch this.
I know you will. That's the scary part. Hold on. So just to be clear, again, I get no money out of this, but I am presenting with DGE in the clinical trials conference next week.
What is it?
I'm talking about the future. So I'm number one doing a panel presentation on the role of CROs, and then I'm doing one on updates in clinical research, and I'm talking about sort of what does the future look like. But here,
spoiler alert, it looks bright.
Well, depends on
it's complicated.
It's complicated always. It depends. Hold on. Share screen. Screen 2, is that right? Yep. So this is the presentation I'm giving. Basically talking about M&A and future trends. Blah, 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 blah. Compliance.
Well, we get a sneak peek to your presentation.
Data falsification, compliance, kickback.
Look at this. Who made these slides for you?
I did, and then my girlfriend actually made them look pretty. So here's the AI portion. Essentially, AI, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Google, are going to get sued for copyright infringement. That's already happening.
Right.
Amazon basically was told to ignore the law while developing an AI model.
Yes.
OpenAI is saying, no, you can opt out, but it's so onerous that they're calling it enraging. Sora is being trained on YouTube videos, which is against the
Copyright.
policy.
Yeah.
And here is the language.
But isn't this the model for all tech companies? Like, just get sued, pay the bill, and innovate. Like, it's fast.
The problem is when the bill is too high, what do you do then?
But then Facebook got sued to their eyeballs in the beginning for all kinds of stuff, and
not like this. When your entire basis of knowledge is, Facebook got sued for like things like defamation and stuff, which is different from what we're talking about here. But here's what OpenAI says. It says, to the extent permitted by applicable law, you retain ownership rights and input. So not in the content, not in what we put out, but you don't actually own the you don't necessarily own the output, because it's to the extent permitted by applicable law. And under copyright law, you may not.
So all the people writing books with ChatGPT, it's not really your copyright. I mean, you could claim it as yours, but
I'll show you that part as well. So we assign to you all the title, interest, blah, 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 to the output. So how do you handle that if OpenAI can't give it to you? Here's what Anthropic says. You retain all right, title, and interest, including IP, that you have in your prompts. They don't even give you the rest of it. They just say the prompts.
Well, what about anything you upload?
So if you upload it, do you actually, first of all, they don't actually mention that up here, right? And it doesn't matter because you're going to change it anyways. So they aren't giving you any IP in any updates, according to Anthropic.
Well, sometimes you upload like a protocol, let's say.
You might. First of all, that might be a violation anyways.
Right, just hypothetically. And then you say, make me source. Right? And then you keep dropping it. Yeah.
And
not that sites are doing that. That would be ridiculous. Like
totally ridiculous.
I mean, unfathomable.
And Google Gemini, I couldn't even find it. And I asked it. Ownership generated is likely held by Google itself. That's what Gemini told me.
Huh.
So, my point being,
brave new world, man.
Yeah. And it gets into issues of data lineage, data hallucination, privacy. I love that it's potentially a GDPR violation to actually even have AI. Because you have no way of correcting things.
So the laws are not ready for this kind of tech. Like,
correct.
They'll be made for it. But you're early adopter.
Someone's gonna lose in the AI world.
Yeah. Huge fan. Love you guys. Thank you, LinkedIn user. Identify yourself.
Identify yourself.
Yeah.
Then there's hacking issues. Let me see. And then I actually go through a case analysis. And then I talk about document 79, where China is looking to delete America. And
delete America from its technology. So this was after they stole everything?
Well, actually, that would be part of the U.S. Biosecure Act.
Right.
Where they are where U.S. is saying any biotechnology company, you can't basically work with these companies, including WuXi, BGI, MGI.
WuXi, I used to own that stock like a decade ago, and a half.
I know the feeling.
No, I don't know now.
I don't either right now, but the point, at least not that I know of. But yeah.
But these kind of regulations are lagging indicators. Like they're made after the fact, after things already happened, after like leapfrogs of innovation already occurred.
But what happened? But what happens if they would have done it before?
They can't do it before. They can't predict the future. Yeah.
So you have to do it after.
Of course. But by then it's too late. Like first mover advantage, you just pay the bill. OpenAI is going to pay the bill.
Well, but here's the problem. It would be one thing if it was a minor, like, say, even if it was, say, $1 billion in fines, OpenAI would happily pay it. The problem is the fines are unlimited because you're going after copyright law. And under copyright law,
you think that's why they structured as a nonprofit?
No, that has a totally different thing, and that didn't work out. Because nonprofit doesn't mean doesn't make a profit. Nonprofit just means doesn't distribute a profit.
Well, in the context of like getting sued. Doesn't have anything to do with it?
No, not usually. I can sue a nonprofit today. So wait, what was I talking? I forget.
Have you sued anyone today?
Have I sued anyone today? I'm in the middle of like 3 lawsuits right now. Which is totally
Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye-bye. Exit music.
Well, on that note, it actually is about time to...
On that note, listen. Everybody go connect with Darshan right now. Look at this. We don't even have time. This time cannot contain his knowledge. Darshan, I know you gotta go. I'm gonna take us both off the screen and just let the trumpets play. All right? Thank you, Darshan. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. This was great as always.
Everybody go connect with him and stay tuned for the next Fraud Pod, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, let's try to do it too.